Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Anna Vanila Arts. I am Anna Vanila, and in this video I'd like to show you what has inspired me from watching the movie Barbie. And the color obviously needs to be pink, so I have chosen a pink color for this scrunchie. It is moss stitch, and I've used needles number 5. I have 40 stitches, and as you can see, this is a moss stitch. I'm not sure if you know much about moss stitch, so I'm going to show you how I do this moss stitch, and I'll show you how to what's the name for it, how to cast on, and then I'm going to show you how to do this moss stitch. For example, for now I'm showing you a moss stitch pattern that I've done a scrunchie with. It's a different color, obviously it's a peach color. It's from cotton and it looks fantastic. I absolutely love it. As you can see, it's a lot of stretch in here, and you can do it twice, so it will hold the hair twice very well. And as you can see, moss stitch looks very nice as a scrunchie, and in this case this is my example of a finished project with moss stitch, but I am doing Barbie inspired moss stitch now for you in pink to show you how I've made something that looks a bit like this. And so hopefully it will be easy tutorial, easy enough for you to have a look how it's made. And this pattern is suitable for beginners, even if you do not know much about knitting. If you know front stitches and purl stitches, it's enough to be able to proceed to this kind of pattern. And I wish you good luck in doing it and watching it. And I am going to show you how to cast on, and then I'm going to show you this pattern, and then continue to show you how I do the process of scrunchie. It's very easy to do. If you can stitch, if you can sew sorry, if you can sew as well, it's also suitable for you. So here we go. I am doing also another stitch, another scrunchie. As you can see, is this kind of amazing pattern, amazing stitch, which is easy, very easy to make, even for beginners. But I'm going to show you this stitch in my next video, so stay tuned for more. For now, let me show you how to cast on. So you take the yarn like this, enough to be enough for casting on. You put it on the finger like so, and this like so, and then you take with a needle and you rotate it to create a loop, and then we grab it like this, the yarn, and we have 2 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm going to cast just 20, but for this pattern, for this Barbie scrunchie, I have cast on 40 stitches. So this is the needle number 5, size number 5, and that's how it looks like when you cast on the stitches. Now you turn on the back and you pick up the first stitch, you do not knit it, and then you just do front stitches like so. 2, 3 front stitches, all these to be with front stitches. To make it more easy, you need a marker, and this marker you can place here because this is a front row, front stitch. So you can put something like a marker or whatever you have to remind you that this is a front stitch, because with a moss stitch there is a slight confusion that might happen, because you need to do 2 rows of similar knitting, and then on the 3rd row you change it, so you do the opposite on the 3rd row. So a marker like so here on the front of your scrunchie, it's very useful to stop you from getting confused with the pattern, to stop you from getting confused of what level, what row you are, and this and that. So then we pick up the stitch and we knit the first one with a front stitch, second one with a purl stitch, front stitch, 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 purl stitch, and so on. We do this row. I will put the marker on the front row, on the front of knitting, and so as you can see, sorry, this must be, this one was the first row I have completed. So front stitches and purl stitches, and you do it to the end. Then you turn over the piece and then again we do not need the first loop, and we need this second row as we see. So you need the front stitch with a front stitch, we need the purl stitch with a purl stitch, front stitch, purl stitch. So you need the same way as you can see the stitches on your needle. So front stitch, purl stitch, front stitch, purl stitch, front stitch, purl stitch, and that's what you do in the second row. Then, so the last one is purl stitch. Then we reverse the work and we do the third row for this pattern, the first and the last row. So we see a front stitch, means in the third row you need a purl stitch instead. So you basically need the opposite of what you see. So you see a purl stitch, you need the front stitch. You see a front stitch, you need the purl stitch. I see a purl stitch, I need it with a front stitch, a front stitch with a purl stitch, and we basically change to the opposite of loops. So purl stitch, front stitch, purl stitch, front stitch, purl stitch, front stitch, and so on. And then the other row, the next row, you do it as you see. So basically we do 2 rows as you see them. So you do the same. What you see is what you do, and on the third row you replace with the contrast of the stitches. So basically you do the opposite of stitches. You see the front stitch, you knit with a purl stitch. You see the purl stitch, you knit with a front stitch. This is the 4th row, so this is the back. We do it as we see. So purl stitch, we see a front stitch, purl stitch, front stitch, and that's what this pattern is all about. You do it like so, and everything will look like a moss stitch. So I'm going to show you now how I do it on my example, on my scrunchie. This is just to show you how I make the moss stitch. So I'm going to show you now how to do it on my scrunchie, pink scrunchie. This is my scrunchie and with a moss stitch. As you can see, it's repeated with a moss stitch in the same way that I've made you an example. I've attached the markers here on the front of my scrunchie to know when to change the loops into the opposite loops. And so the first one we do not need, and we change the loops. So purl stitch instead of front stitch, purl stitch, we need it with a front stitch with a purl stitch with a front stitch, and we basically do the opposite of what we see in here. And every time when we change the loops, the stitches, we do it on the front of the garment that you do, on the front of the scrunchie. And then second row you continue to knit as you see, and then again in the first row you change them as you see them, you change them to the opposite stitches. The last one we knit with a purl stitch, always. So this is a second row. We knit as we see, so the first loop we do not knit. So we see a front stitch, we knit the front stitch. You see a purl stitch, you knit it with a purl stitch. Front stitch, purl stitch, front stitch, purl stitch, and so on. And I knit the scrunchie usually 40 to 42 centimeters, so that they would bend twice, so I can use it twice, like 2 times. I can just use it on my hair, so I fold it in 2, and the purl stitch. So here we go, we get to the front stitch. Again, we do not knit the first stitch, and we change again. So we see a purl stitch, we knit it with a front stitch. You see a front stitch, you knit it with a purl stitch. So you do the opposite to what you see, and you repeat it over and over again. It's that easy. So hopefully you like this pattern. It's easy to do, it's inspired by Barbie, it's with pink, it's with absolutely nice design and easy to do, and hopefully you will have a lovely scrunchie at the end. So we knit about 40 centimeters long to 42 centimeters. You can do it shorter, you can do it bigger. It's all up to you, how you like it. And we repeat the same thing. I have knitted the amount that I need for my scrunchie, which is 40 to 42, 43 centimeters long. And here are my markers, which means it's the front side of a garment, of an accessory. And let me show you now how to close the loops. So there are a couple of techniques of doing it, where so you need 2 together. So you take first one and the second with the right needle through the 2, and then we create another loop from the 2. Then you put this loop back, and then you grab the next loop, grab the yarn through these 2 loops, and then you place it back on the needle. So again we have 2 loops, pass through to create another loop on, and then we grab the next one, and you can, as you can see, here's something which looks a little bit like a braid, like a plait, and this is exactly what we need to do at this moment, so that we can close the loops, and then we can prepare and stitch the elastic and stitch this scrunchie together. I'm going to show you how to do this. And make sure you don't do too tightly and not too loose either. Somehow for it to be the same length as the bottom of this accessory that we are creating. Now I have got to the end of this row, and this is the loop, but what we need to do is let this basically take the length with the yarn, take the end of this garment and do it about 3 times, and this way we'll be able to stitch everything together with the help of loose yarn. Now this is my needle made of plastic. They could be made of metal as well, and then what we need to do is grab this loop like so and tighten this piece, and this will reassure that it does not unravel, and then we'll have to knit it together like so, like this. Now it's time for us to get the elastic. Any elastic will do. This is a type of elastic, this is another type of elastic, and this is a wider elastic. Wider. Any elastic will do, and what we need to do is something similar to this. As you can see, I have stitched all the way around so it does not unravel. The threads not to unravel. I just stitch around, sew around it, sew even at the back, and then a couple of times in the center I stitch, and then you make a knot. So this is how I do it. So I have a needle with random yarn. It doesn't need to be the same color as the elastic because anyway it will not be visible, and it will not be visible or see-through the knitted scrunchie that we make. So you need to cut about, let's see, about 22 centimeters. This is also about, this is 25 centimeters. So you need to see which one actually is more elastic than the other. This one is more elastic, for instance, than this one. So, and it needs to be somehow that you can just wind it twice, so you can create like 2 times with elastic to make sure you can hold the hair in position when the scrunchie will be usable and ready to be used. So I make a knot, and for instance I'll take this one. What I need to do is place it somewhere about 1 centimeter to cover the other. With a knot we do it from the center somehow to hide it in a way, and I do 2 threads usually, so it's stronger bond, stronger sewing, so it's more secure for sewing this elastic. So I just do it like this to make sure it does not unravel. You can use any yarn, any thread, any yarn you'd like. Anything can work for this project. I have a knot. Usually the knot is created when you have more than one thread. So I have to has created a knot, but you can try to push it. It doesn't matter if the knot is actually happening. And now for this piece not to unravel where we cut the elastic, we do it like this. So make sure you hold it and you do it like this. I found in my drawers an example. So elastic like this I found from my local scrap store. This one I purchased in the shop. As you can see, it's thinner than this, and when it's thinner elastic you should try to double it up. For instance, you take one time like so, and then another time twice, and both of them to be together, and then you stitch them here so that they are stronger and can hold the hair for many years to come. As you do this scrunchie, obviously you want for it to last years. I have scrunchies which I've made, for instance, when I was 9 years old, so they last like forever. But you need to get like in the beginning you need to get, first of all you need to get a good elastic. but after all, as I said, it doesn't matter which elastic, it doesn't matter which thread you sew with, what color it is. So I have double thread here to make sure my stitching is stronger and it secures it quite well. So this is how I do my knot. I do it like this, and I just rotate it, and then I just pull it, and this is something which looks a bit like a knot. So now what I do after I have stitched around it so it does not unravel the elastic, what I do is do a couple of stitches through the center of this stitched piece. Again, it doesn't matter if you do it well or not. In the end, don't forget to do a knot as well to make sure it stays in place. I do it randomly. You don't have to be a specialist to be able to make a scrunchie. It's quite easy. It probably takes a bit of time when you sew and when you knit a scrunchie, but generally it's quite easy and quite quick to do. I have made plenty of scrunchies from even denim, which were quite good, and I was using them on a daily basis. So you can do even from material, it doesn't matter, all can work well as a scrunchie. And I just make sure I use all this thread so that the stitch does not unravel. This way it guarantees that we're going to last this scrunchie for like years and years to come. So just if you do it with a little bit of effort, it will just help for it to be sturdy. Now make a knot now. This is how I make a knot. I literally take like this, pick up any stitch or maybe a little bit of this elastic, and then I pass through the circle here which I make, and then I grab this loop and then I pull it tightly, and then I push this all down and secure it. Then what I do, I make a second knot again, and I do it like so, and then I just cut it off. Now what we need to do is take this piece the scrunchie and make sure you stitch it with the front like so. Front it's like this. Yeah. Like this. And then we put this through the center. But at the moment what we need to do is bond this stitch to create a stitch here and here with a mattress stitch. So I grab a couple of loops here and I grab from this a braiding here and I pick up the upper braiding like this, pick up from here, then we take again from the top the braiding, you see, 1, 2, and make sure it does not unravel. We stretch it a little bit. And it's almost invisible stitch, as you can see, because it's a mattress stitch, which makes it a very tidy stitch. As you can see, I stitched this side, both ends. So this is how it looks like. Now what we need to do is fold it in half like this, and then we take the elastic which we've made and put it in the center, in the half, in the center of this scrunchie. And as you can see, the elastic is here in the middle of the scrunchie. Now what we need to do is continue stitching. I will continue by doing mattress stitch again. So I pick up the braids. You see you have like something like braids on the side, as you can see, and then we continue stitching the same way as we've made here in the center. I've got to the end of this sewing, and what I need to do is make a knot. I've shown you how to make a knot with threads when we sewed the elastic, so it's literally the same. So what we need to do is then after a couple of knots we hide it, and what we need to do is hide it inside the hair scrunchie. So take with a needle and put it somewhere, pull the yarn like this, like so. We cut it off, and here is our scrunchie. We've made it together in this tutorial, and let's help to reverse, to put it from the inside so the stitch is not visible. As you can see, it folds in two pieces like so, and it will hold hair very well. And if you wear a bun, if you wear, like, let's say a donut, if you create like a shape of donut on your head with a hair, this you can just wear it over the top twice, fold it in twice, and it will stay in place all day long. These scrunchies are just fantastic, and I have plenty of them. As you can see, it's very similar to this one, which is also a moss stitch, and this one is a moss stitch. And this is a scrunchie which inspired me to do because it's pink and because it's Barbie. So hopefully you like this pattern, and please put the thumbs up and subscribe, and more tutorials will be coming soon. And wish you luck in creating something like this as well. As you can see, it's not very complicated. It's just needed a bit of patience. And here we go. This is a scrunchie. Now here are the two finished scrunchies, and as you can see, one is Barbie, one a little bit Barbie because this is like tan color. It's a bit like off blush color, and hopefully you're going to enjoy and be able to do something as pretty as this, and hopefully you're going to write to me being thankful for this tutorial. And it's easy, it's fast to make, and have just a little patience to be able to do this. And with patience you can get far in life. That's what it is. And knitting requires a little bit of patience too. Thank you very much for watching and subscribing, and for thumbs up. Please put likes, and all we need to do is wash it so it's blocked a little bit, so the stitching and everything becomes even better, laying a bit better on the scrunchie, on the elastic, and hopefully you're going to be using it with pleasure. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon in the next video.